Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now we're going to talk about My Hero Academia. This time specifically, we're going to take a look at the absolute beginning of the story Izuku. This video was initially inspired by a question from Randomly the Weeb, specifically this last part asking whether or not Izuku would have looked for alternate means of gaining power if he had never met All Might. That's where the video started, but it developed into looking more at Izuku's nature at the beginning of the story. So if I had to formulate a question that this video will try to answer, it would be, would Izuku have succeeded by UA standards if he never met All Might? In this video, I'll be trying to explain to you what brought me to my conclusion, and also going to mention how this problem ends up making pre-All Might Izuku more relatable to the average reader. So, the simple answer for the people in a hurry is that I believe it's a matter of likelihoods, not absolutes, and that it was more likely that Izuku would have failed to be anything significant and would probably fail the UA entrance exam and maybe not be significant for years. So let's get into the breakdown, and for the purposes of this video, when I say success, I am referring to success at the UA entrance exam just to keep it nice and tidy. So there's really just one critical statement that sabotages Izuku's chance of success in my eyes, and this is one coming from chapter 72 around page 17, specifically where Izuku is recalling the necessity of a quirk when it comes to heroics while talking to Koda. The key statement is, when the quirk didn't manifest as soon as it should have, he, i.e. Izuku, trained. Manga Stream's translation delivered the feel behind the statement as busted his ass. Point is, it was trying to tell you that Izuku was trying his best there. The importance of the statement was that it kind of set the boundaries of what hard serious attempts looked like for Izuku in this earlier part of the story. He didn't have a quirk, so in order to make up for that, he mimics his parents, and after that he just starts observing and taking notes. And we also know from comments in chapter 2 that his muscles have never been big or toned, implying that he didn't really work out frequently. What we can infer is that Izuku had tunnel vision about how hard he could go to achieve his goals. Now mind you, I'm not saying that Izuku is incapable of hard work, but I am saying that he didn't know how to work hard by himself. Consider this circle as what Izuku thought he was capable of. Then All Might shows up and he expands that circle and shows him, hey, there's a lot of work you could be doing. What it ultimately leads me to believe is that Izuku needed the guidance. Izuku needed someone that would point him in the right direction and point out the things he was currently capable of and what he could be capable of, and he needed someone that would believe in him, because by himself, I don't believe Izuku would have buckled down and actually legitimately trained, especially when you consider that to him, training was mimicking quirk motions and observing heroes. Which leads me to the secondary kind of lower factor that impairs Izuku's chances for success. That being that it felt like he was putting off his development as a hero until after he got into UA. Pre-All Might Izuku doesn't really have a solid plan for his development, instead going with the never know until you try attitude, which was good at the time, but that combined with his journals, which were blatantly called for the future hero analysis, painted the picture of a kid who the only thing he was doing was compiling notes for a day that he could one day implement them instead of trying to attain the capabilities in his present. Ultimately, it painted Izuku as someone who was putting it off till another day. And just to illustrate, that really cool move that he pulled on Bakugo, like in that first arc where he tossed him, would Izuku have been able to do that pre-workout? But could middle school Izuku be able to do that if he was working out from the get-go to give himself the best odds? Yes, and the fact that he didn't is critical. That's not one for all powering that. That's Izuku's naturally trained strength. And what does that mean for his chances of UA? Well, if it didn't even occur to him to even try to increase his base capabilities, he's just really walking in with a massive disadvantage and a pocket full of hopes. But it wouldn't be a total 0% chance for Izuku. One thing that Izuku showed of real strength was that he would still save people even if he was screwed. What this does say though is that Izuku is more of a defender rather than an attacker. What that leads me to believe is that it is likely that an untrained, nervous Izuku would have failed at attacking, but when Ochako falls, I think it's very reasonable to expect Izuku to try to save her. Now, how much points he would get for that is questionable, since a no quirk, not physically trained Izuku would have to try to remove rubble. Here, if he had at least pumped his strength stat, he might have a chance at removing the rubble at a fast enough rate, but that could have deducted points based on something such as creating 2 victims instead of 1, which we know is frowned upon, however honorable the intent. All things considered, 36 kids got into UA. I think it's very likely that Izuku would have failed given those numbers and his handicaps. And if he had failed, what does that mean for Izuku's future? Well, moving away from the UA stage, one thing that Izuku had in his favor is that Izuku had a really strong spirit. It didn't matter if his mother resigned herself to Izuku's fate, it didn't matter how much Bakugo, his idol, tortured him, it didn't even matter that a doctor told him it was impossible. He still held hope. I doubt UA saying no to him for heroics would have stopped him. It took All Might breaking the boy down and telling him just he flat out can't do it in order for Izuku to give up. I think had Izuku not met All Might, we could have ended up with the Midoriya that was in the prototype manga, the one that tried to become a hero using gadgets instead of quirks. I think that would have been much more likely had things gone south here. The conclusion is that the problem with Izuku is that without All Might, all he had were hopes that the future would work out while holding a limited view of the pathways to success due to the idea that quirks were the end all be all. I do think this makes Izuku much more relatable though, and it's what makes his relationship with All Might credible. It's easy when you're young to get to a point where you think you're training or working the hardest you absolutely can be until you find out maybe you weren't being efficient enough, maybe you were going about something in the wrong way, or maybe you just had more in you that you just weren't using. That's the value of the good mentor. They have experienced more and can maybe show you better, more effective ways of reaching your goals. These couple of flaws within Izuku are without a doubt what made the relationship between him and All Might all the more valuable and all the more satisfying. But that's pretty much the end of the video. We're just gonna move into the afterword real quick here. Yeah, overall, if Izuku had actually followed a hero that was predominantly physical strength with a minor supporting quirk, I think he would have realized that working out was an option for him to at least give him some kind of an edge, or at least reduce the disadvantage. Heck, honestly, when All Might says that you can't be a hero without a quirk, I'm like, nah man. Someone like Stain, he is a villain, but he's ridiculously effective with a quirk that doesn't really get involved for the high percentage of the time that he's fighting kids. And there's also people like Knuckle Duster who, as far as we know, is quirkless and is able to at least put a dent to some street crime. I think Izuku could have pulled it off if he wasn't stuck with the idea that quirks were all that mattered. But yeah, that's my idea here. Guys, what do you think? Do you think Izuku would have had a good chance at passing the UA exams without All Might's intervention? Let me know down below and let me know your reasoning. But I hope my reasoning worked out for you and I hope you were able to understand what I was trying to say. Anyway guys, till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.